Everyone, welcome to this week's assembly. It's Miss Pemberton here. I'm going to be talking to you today about healthy habits, including your sleeping habits and your physical activity habits. You are going to need a whiteboard for this assembly. What you need to do is you need to get your whiteboard out. You need to write true on one side and false on the other side for the first part of this assembly. So tutors, if you want to pause me now and then get your whiteboard set up and then hit play again. We're going to start off by talking about sleep, and it's something that is really important, and I think people don't maybe talk about it enough, and how important your sleeping habits can be to so many other parts of your life. We are going to start with a quiz, so you're going to need those whiteboards that you've just set up, and we're going to decide whether the facts on the next slide are true or false. Okay, you're going to need those whiteboards that you've set up with your true on one side and your false on the other. We're going to go through each of these. You're going to decide and hold up whether you think they're true or false, and then I will tell you the answer with a little bit of information. The first one, teenagers need more sleep than adults, true or false? This one is true. Research shows that the average teenager needs about 9 hours of sleep in a night, and the average adult needs about 7. Teenagers often don't feel tired until considerably later, so this can cause problems. Most teenagers on average get the right amount of sleep, true or false? This one is false. Due to problems, the majority of teenagers are sleep deprived, often by more than 2 hours of sleep per night, which accumulates over time, and that is a result of the problems that we are going to discuss later in this assembly. Sleeping in at weekends to catch up on sleep will help you feel refreshed on Monday, true or false? This one is also false. This can actually make your sleep worse. An erratic sleep schedule, so staying up later at the weekend and lying in, can have a detrimental effect on your sleep because it makes it harder for you to fall asleep on Sunday night and then wake up again on Monday morning. So it's much better to maintain regular wake-up times over the weekend. The next one is it is possible to counteract the effects of lack of sleep by drinking caffeinated drinks, true or false? This one is false. Caffeine can give your body a temporary energy boost, but it will have significant detrimental effects over time. They're also potentially addictive and can impact your health that way. The next one is naps should be no longer than 30 minutes, true or false? This one is true. Napping can help with sleepiness, but you shouldn't sleep for more than 30 minutes, and it should be in the early afternoon. If you nap for a long time and it's late in the day, it can make it difficult to fall asleep at night. And naps should only be used as a technique when absolutely necessary. You should really try and have quality sleep at the night time instead. The next one is, it is recommended to eat a small snack before bedtime, true or false? This one is true. It is a good idea to not go to sleep hungry. Whilst a big meal is not recommended, sometimes a small snack before bed can help with falling asleep and therefore help with your sleep quality. The next one, it is helpful to use a phone app to help track and promote sleep. This one is false. Lots of apps suggest that they can help you to promote your sleep, but little research has actually been done into how effective these are, and any benefits of these apps are likely to be outweighed by having your phone by your bedside table with the lights on and notifications that can have a negative impact on your sleep. The next one, getting healthy sleep can improve school results, true or false? This one is true. Research suggests that students who get the best results in tests sleep more than their peers, and this can improve your brain function such as memory, organisation, decision making and attention. Our final one here then is using the night setting on a phone means it doesn't have any effect on sleep. True or false? This one is false. Blue light filter apps are relatively new and there isn't that much research surrounding them. However, like we said before, using your phone before sleep has other impacts that are going to outweigh any benefits of that, such as engaging in conversations, playing on games, processing different types of information, and this is a time when your brain needs to be winding down and not thinking about any of those things. So to summarise then, we've talked about some of these facts already. Teenagers do need approximately 9 hours of sleep per night, even though most are only averaging at about 7. After puberty, the internal clock of an adolescent shifts by up to 2 hours, which means that the time that teenagers naturally wake up also shifts by 2 hours, which is probably why some of you find it a little bit difficult to get out of bed in the morning. Teenagers benefit from a regular sleep schedule. The time before bed, so at least 60 minutes or 90 minutes if possible, you should allow for winding down time, and you need to avoid screen usage, so avoiding watching the TV, being on your phone or your tablet, that kind of thing. Teenagers should avoid caffeinated or high sugar products altogether. So this includes fizzy drinks, tea or coffee and sweets. They are going to interrupt your sleep patterns and have detrimental effects across the board. And spending time outdoors every day can be really beneficial to sleep, especially if it is in the morning. That is something that can aid your sleep. So I've given you loads of facts there about sleep, but let's talk a little bit about why. Why am I saying this? Why is it important? There are loads of benefits to you having a good sleep schedule. It can improve your long and short-term memory, can improve your mood, can make it easier to stay focused, support healthy brain growth and development, keeps your skin looking fresh and your body healthy as well, improves your athletic and academic performance and develops your creativity. Okay, so some ideas here of how you can achieve having a healthy habit when it comes to your sleep. First one is to begin your wind down about 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Experts recommend sticking to this all the time, and it doesn't matter if you are out later than you might normally be. It is still strongly suggested that you take the time to have 60 to 90 minutes of wind down time away from screens before you get into bed to help you sleep. Be careful with caffeine. You should avoid caffeine altogether, or if you have to drink it, then avoid it for at least 6 hours before sleep. That is how long the caffeine can stay in your system and will continue to affect your sleep. Limit your screen time. Screens and activities on screens are much more likely to distract you from sleep, and the blue light from screens can also disrupt the production of sleep hormones. So that comes back to the 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Make sure you're having that time away from screens so that you sleep really well. Physical exercise outside, we're going to come on to that a little bit more later on in the assembly, but walking in the sunshine, especially in the morning, can help to reset you and to have a much better sleep in the evening. Meditation, visualization and mindfulness techniques. Some of these were mentioned in Mr. Healy's assembly last week, where he talked about apps like Headspace and things like that you can use to help you calm down and wind down before bed, and use as well if you really do struggle to sleep. Keep a sleep diary. This is something you can do as well, and this is the case of keeping a track somewhere written down of the things that you do before you've had a good night's sleep. So in the morning, if you slept really well, keeping a note of what did you do that night and why you might have slept so well. And also when you sleep less well, has something happened beforehand, or have you been on your phone or eaten something sugary, and just keeping a track so you know what helps you sleep well and what stops you from sleeping quite so well. Stop trying to sleep. This sounds really counterproductive, I know that, but it is suggested that if you're in bed and you can't sleep, that lying there and trying potentially isn't going to help you. So to get out of bed, read a book, drink a glass of water, that kind of thing, to get yourself out of bed and stop trying to sleep, and then go back to it again once you've had that time away. And our final one there is allocate a time in the day to think about your worries. So this could be in the form of a diary. It could be in just writing some notes. It could not be written at all. It could just be time for you to sit and think about it, of a time in your day, maybe after you've had your tea, sometime before you get into bed, to get all of the worries of the day or the worries of the next day and all of those little things that have been going around your head all day out of your head. Okay, they say it could help to write this down as well, so that you're not thinking about it before you go to bed and whilst you're trying to sleep. We are going to move on now from talking about our healthy habits with regards to sleep, and we're going to talk about healthy habits in regards to physical exercise. So some guidance here of what children and young people between the ages of 5 to 18 should be doing in terms of physical exercise. Should be aiming for at least 60 minutes of moderate intensity physical exercise in a day. You can take part in a variety of types of intensities of physical activity. Reduce the time spent sitting or lying down, especially for long periods of time, and spread your activities through the day. Okay, I've already mentioned the idea of moderate intensity exercise and intense exercise. What I would like you to do now, I've got some examples on the board here of different types of physical activity, and what I want you to do is your tutors are going to pause me again, please, and you can either have a chat in your partners or you can use your whiteboards again. You don't need your true false anymore, to decide from here which do you think are moderate and which do you think are intense. There are some answers on the next slide. See your answers and you can see how you did with your discussions or your notes, however you have done it in your tutor group. So some examples of moderate intensity activities: even walking to school or riding your scooter or going for a walk with a dog, all count as moderate intensity. So these are probably things that you are doing already and don't even realise it. High intensity activities, which you should be including into your daily routines as well, are things like running, gymnastics, basketball, all those team sports, dancing, tennis, things that we maybe more classically put with our physical activity. Here we've got just some reasons why physical exercise is so important for your well-being. It can boost your energy levels and make you feel better about yourself and about the day. Your mental health benefits of physical exercise: it releases endorphins that make you feel happier and make you feel better. So that's another really big plus. So another thing that Mr. Healy touched on last week is the importance of keeping a check on your mental well-being, and exercise is a really good way to aid that. Building and developing strong muscles. It helps develop your movement skills and your muscles and your bones, which is obviously really good for you, and it keeps your whole body healthy. This is just a few ideas of things that you can do to increase your physical activity in the week to the levels that it should be. You could join a local sports team or a local sports club. There are hundreds of them in the local area for all kinds of different sports. You're lucky enough to have water sports, team sports, loads of stuff to get involved in. The Couch to 5K app is something that I know loads of my friends have done this, and it's an app that you can download. NHS Choices are involved with it, and it's a running plan to get you out every day running and building up to a 5K run. And the last one, this is something that I think we all got a bit involved with over lockdown, but something like PE with Joe, or any of those things that you can find on YouTube and online of videos and activities. There's something for everyone that you can find and do at home. So finally, here are just some tutor discussion points for you. What you already do to promote healthy habits in your daily life. What could you maybe do to improve your healthy habits? So use the rest of your tutor time now to have a chat, have a think in your little groups, and about these questions and come up with some ideas. Thanks very much for listening.